Hi everyone, I'm Steve Richards, one of the pastors at Messiah Church in Plymouth, Minnesota. And each week I try to offer a message of hope in the midst of the challenges that we face in these days of unprecedented change. You know, on Monday I spent the day with my grandson, and much of the afternoon was spent right here. He's 11 months old, and though he does not walk yet, he is in constant motion. And he's curious about everything. He'll sit here for a moment exploring some of these simple toys and knocking down whatever tower that I construct in front of him. But then he'll try to climb on top of me, and he'll try to get away from me, and then he'll shriek and scream as he crawls down the hallway as fast as he can. And by the end of the afternoon, I knew why it's best that we have children when we're young. I loved my grandson, but I was so glad when his mother arrived to take him home. He wore me out. I was tired. Now, there are a lot of things in this world that can leave us tired. And a sleepless night that can cause us to enter a new day weary and exhausted. A long day of physical labor. An unexpected challenge that leaves us drained emotionally and mentally. An illness that saps every bit of strength that we need to get well. Or worrying about a relationship that's in trouble. Or an seemingly endless stream of complaints that we receive from somebody. That person just wears me out. But there's another form of tiredness, another form of being tired that we see across this country and even around the world as people enter the streets to stand against racism and hatred. It's a kind of being tired that says, enough already. I must say something. I can't let this pass without saying something. I can't be silent anymore. I can't let this pass without doing something. You know, I think of Rosa Parks, who on December the 1st, 1955, refused to be relegated to the back of the bus at a time when racial segregation was the status quo. She was not the first who did not want to be relegated to the back of the bus. She was not the first who refused to go to the back of the bus. She was just plain tired. And she said no. And her tiredness, her no, enabled the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. Now, there have been others. A whole host of others who have been working toward a more perfect union, the words that we find in the preamble to the United States Constitution. They are people that we know, people in your midst. Maybe you are one of them who is so tired of unfairness and injustice that you show up. You stand up and you speak up. You know, the Gospel of Matthew, we find the words of Jesus where he says, "Come to me, all who are weary and carrying a heavy burden, and I will give you rest." Now, Jesus knew something about being tired. The kind of physical tired that comes from long days of trying to help people. The kind of mental tiredness of constantly trying to teach and show his disciples how to live when it seemed that they just didn't get it. The kind of emotional and spiritual tired that came from a seemingly endless stream of complaints from the religious authorities who did not like the way he was challenging the status quo. Jesus knew tired, which enabled him to speak authentically to people who were tired. And to offer something greater than a good night's sleep or a week's worth of vacation. Rest. Come to me, all who are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Now, if you happen to be familiar with that verse, my hope is that you can become just as familiar with the next verse, because I think the next verse is the key. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you. Now, a yoke was a harness that was used to bring two animals alongside each other so they could work together. You see, we need each other. Our responsibility is not just for ourselves, but it is for one another. And our work lets someone else rest, and our rest makes someone else work. It's why it's so essential that we come alongside each other and together, we show up, we stand up, and we speak up. So look for those who are weary. Look for those who are tired. And then come alongside. Share the burden. And find rest. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you have a great week. Find a way to bless somebody today, tomorrow, in the days to come. I'll see you again. God bless.